Alright, 2. Unclassified for official use only domestic investigation operation guide. Um, Unclassified official use only domestic investigation operation guide at Federal Bureau of Investigation, December 2008. Um, 2. General authorities and principles. Scope of the Attorney General on guideline with the domestic with the FBI operation with the Attorney General guideline with the domestic FBI operation. Apply for the investigative intelligence collective activity conducted with the FBI within the United States, with the United States territory. Outside the territories of all the country that do not apply with the investigative intelligence collective activity of the FBI in foreign countries, which will be governed by the Attorney General guideline with the extraterritorial FBI operations when published. The Attorney General guidelines domestic replace the following 6 guidelines. The Attorney General guideline with the general crimes, racketeering enterprise, with the terrorism enterprise investigation, Attorney General guideline for the FBI national security investigation, foreign intelligence collection, Attorney General supplemental guidelines collection, retention, of disseminating foreign intelligence, the Attorney General procedure for the reporting using information concerning the violation of law and authorization, participation, otherwise illegal activity of the FBI, foreign intelligence, counterintelligence, international terrorism intelligence investigation. The Attorney General on guidelines for the reporting of civil disorder with the demonstration involving a federal interest, and the Attorney General procedure for the lawful warrantless monitoring of the verbal communications. Only a portion of applicable to the FBI repealed. The Attorney General will issue the separate sets of the new guidelines, extraterritorial operations, Attorney General guidelines, extraterritorial FBI operations. However, the certain existing guidelines that are repealed with the Attorney General guideline with the domestic currently apply in part with the extraterritorial operation, including with the Attorney General guidelines for national FBI and national security investigation, foreign intelligence collection, Attorney General procedure for the reporting using information concerning violations of law, authorization, participation, otherwise illegal activity of the FBI, foreign intelligence, counterintelligence, international terrorism, and intelligent investigation. To ensure there is no gap in the existing guideline with the extraterritorial or operations of the existing guidelines will remain in the effect of the application of extraterritorial or extraterritorial operations. Attorney General guidelines for extraterritorial FBI operations are issued and taken effect with the notwithstanding general repeal of these existing guidelines of the Attorney General guideline domestic. Also include classify the Attorney General guideline extraterritorial FBI operation criminal investigation 1993 will continue with the FBI criminal investigation pending the execution of new guidelines extraterritorial operations discussed above. Finally, for the national security foreign intelligence investigation, FBI investigates activities will continue to be process set forth in the memorandum of understanding concerns. Alright, oversee the domestic activities of the Central Intelligence Agency, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, General of the FBI authorities with the Attorney General guidelines, the domestic that they recognize with the 4 broad general FBI authorities. Conduct investigation, counterintelligence, evidence of the FBI authorized to collect intelligence, conduct investigation of the detect, obtain information preventing, protect against federal crimes, threats to the national security, to collect foreign intelligence, to provide with the domestic investigation operation guide. And the Attorney General Guidelines Domestic Part 2. By regulation, the Attorney General has directed the FBI to investigate in violation of the law of the United States, to collect evidence in all cases which the United States is or may be a party with the interest, except in the case that is responsible by statute, otherwise specifically assigned to another investigation agency. The FBI authority is to investigate collecting evidence involving the criminal drug law of the United States concurrent with such for the authority of the Drug Enforcement Administration, Title 28 CFR 085A. Provide investigative assistance. The FBI is authorized to provide investigative assistance for federal, state, local, tribal agency, foreign agency, Section 12, Domestic Investigation Operation Authority, Attorney General Guidelines, Domestic Part 3. Alright, C. Conduct strategic analysis plan. The FBI authorized to conduct intelligent analysis planning to provide with the Section 15 Domestic Investigation Operation Guide. Retain share information. FBI is authorized to retain share information pertaining with the Attorney General guideline with the provide in Section 14 of Domestic Investigation Operations Guidelines. FBI is as an intelligence agency, the FBI an intelligence agency as well as the law enforcement agency has basic function accordingly with the extent beyond with a limited investigation of the discrete matter would include broader the analytical planning function of the FBI responsibility in their area that derive of the various administration statute sources. See Executive Order 12333. 28 United States Code 532 note with incorporating Public Law 108-458 with 2001-2003 and 534 note incorporating Public Law 109-162 and Statute 1107. Part 4, Attorney General Guideline Domestic is authorized by the FBI to engage with the intelligence agency playing with the drawing of the law sourceful information with the function authorized under the part includes development, overviews, analysis of concerning threats of vulnerability for the United States and into the interest, research analysis to produce reports and assessments. See note below concerning matter of the relevant but the investigation activities authorized by the FBI, activities of the Operation Intelligence System, that facilitates support investigation through the compilation and analysis of the data information on an ongoing basis. Note the Domestic Investigation Operation Guide. The word assessment has two distinct meanings. The Attorney General Guideline, the Domestic Authorized Investigating Activities Assessment, which requires authorized purpose. Discussed in the Domestic Investigation Operation Guide in Section 5 of the United States Intelligence Community. However, the also use the word assessment to describe written intelligence produced products discussed in the Domestic Investigation Operation Guide, Section 1517B. The FBI Lead Investigation Authorities. The introduction. The FBI Primary Investigation Authority is derived from the authority of the Attorney General provided within Title 28, Statute 509, 510, 533, 534. Within the authority, the Attorney General may appoint officials to detect the crimes of the United States for the conduct of the investigation regarding the official manner under the control of the Domestic Justice, Department of Justice, Department of State, as may be directed by the Attorney General, Title 28, U.S. Standard Code 533. The Attorney General delegated a number of the statutory authority granted on the authority of the Director of the FBI, Title 28, Federal Code Federal Regulation Bureau 085A. Some of the authorities, both inside and outside the United States: terrorism, counterintelligence, counterterrorism investigation. The Attorney General has directed the FBI to exercise the lead agency responsible for the investigating all crime with the Department of Justice, the primary with the concurrent with the jurisdiction, with involved with terrorist activities, the action with the preparation of the terrorist activities in statutory jurisdiction of the United States, include with the collection with the coordinated with the analysis, management, and dissemination of intelligence and criminal information as appropriate with another federal agency to identify the individual who is engaged with the act of terrorism. And it acts for the preparation of the terrorist activity. Other agencies are required to promptly notify the FBI terrorism is not in contact with it, includes unlawful use of the force of violence any against any person, property, intimidated with the queries for a government, the civil population, any segment thereof, and further political, social objectives. All right. Federal crimes of terrorism. Pursuant to Delegation Title 28, Code Federal Regulation 085A, with the Federal FBI records of the Attorney General lead the investigation responsible for Title 18 U.S. Standard Code 22332. B, F, for all federal crimes of terrorism identified with the statute, may statute with the grant with the FBI extraterritorial investigating of the responsibility. Check with the side of the statute fell, particularly with the concern with the elements of the offense of the jurisdiction, etc. under Title 18 U.S. Standard Code 2332. BG5. The term federal crime and terrorism means any offense that is calculated with the influence of the effect of the conduct with the government with the limited intimidation of coercion, retaliating against government conduct, and in violation of federal statute relating to discretionary aircraft facilities, violence, international airports, applies to offensive that occurs in the United States in certain situations, arson, special maritime territorial jurisdiction in the United States, and prohibition will respect biological weapons, extraterritorial fear of the federal jurisdiction, offenses committed against the United States national, possession of biological agents, toxins, restricted person, viral viruses, include smallpox, diarrhea, with the viral major viruses applied with the offensive occurring with the United States in certain situations, prohibited activities regarding chemical weapons, and Congressional Cabinet, Supreme Court, assassination, kidnapping, and assault, directed with the FBI shall investigate with the violation of the statute. Prohibited transaction involved with nuclear materials, particularly nuclear weapons of mass destruction threats to the United States. Important exporting, shipping, transfer with the transport, receipt, possession of plastic explosives that do not contain the detection agent, arson, bombing of the government property with the risking of the causing of death, and or grants of the FBI with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, with the Firearm and Explosives, Current Authority Investigation Violation Statute, arson, bombing property for the used in affecting interstate with the foreign commerce for the grants of the FBI with the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, concurrent with the authority of the investigative violation of the statute, killing and attempted killing during the action of the federal facility with a dangerous weapon, conspiracy for the United States jurisdiction, the murder of the kidnapped, maim, and person at any place for the only outside of the United States, use a computer unauthorized access to transmission, retention, and protected information grants the FBI primary authority to investigate 1030A1 offenses involving the espionage, foreign counterintelligence information protected against unauthorized disclosure of reason for the national defense, foreign relations for the restricted data as defined in the Atomic Energy Act. except the offensive of the United States Secret Service duties in Title 18 U.S. Code 3056A, knowingly transmitting a program information code or command, thereby intentionally causing damage without authorization, protected computer, killing or attempting to kill officers or employees of the United States, including any member of the uniformed service, murder or manslaughter of foreign official, for the official guests of the international protected personnel, persons, hostage taking, willful injury, committing the deep depredation against government property and contracts, the destruction of the communication lines and statues and stations and systems, domestic destruction, energy, building, property, special maritime territorial jurisdiction states, destruction of $100,000 or more energy facility property to define in statute, presidential staff, assassination, kidnapping, and assault. Violations must be made investigated with the FBI. FBI may request assistance from any federal, including military, state, local agency, notwithstanding any statute, rule, or regulation to the contrary. Terrorism attacks, other violence against railroad carriers, against the mass transportation system, land and water throughout the air, but it includes the school bus, skate charter, sightseeing, transportation, any other transport on land, water, or through the air, the destruction of national defense material, premises, utilities, production of defective national defense material for the premise of the utilities, violence against the maritime navigation, violence against maritime fixed platforms, certain homicides, other violence of the United States nationals occurring with the outside of the United States, using weapons of mass destruction, active terrorism transcending national boundaries. I'm not reading all the quotated stuff, but without none of the stuff in the quotations. Bombs of the place for the public use of the government facilities, public transportation system, infrastructure facilities, missile system designed to destroy aircraft, radiological dispersed device, harboring, concealing terrorists, providing material support, resource terrorists, providing material support with the resource of the designated foreign terrorist organization, prohibition against financing terrorism, and military type training with a foreign terrorist organization, torture applied with the torture committed outside of the United States in certain situations. Torture is defined in Title 18 U.S. Code 2340. Prohibition given to the automatic weapons, sabotage nuclear fuel facilities, aircraft piracy, assault with a flight crew with a dangerous weapon, and placement of explosive incendiary device on an aircraft, and endangerment of the human life of the aircraft means of the weapons, application of certain criminal laws, accident of the aircraft, damage, destruction, interstate gas or hazardous liquid pipeline facility, Section 1010A, Controlled Substance Import Export Act relating to narco terrorism. So, domestic destruction, interstate gas and hazardous liquid pipeline facility was 50, 51, 1010, Controlled Substance Import Export Act. Or an additional offensive that is not defined with the federal crimes of terrorism, Title 18 U.S. Code 2332B, with the explicit grant of the Attorney General primary investigating authority, additional officer offensive not defined federal crimes of the terrorism. These offenses are Congressional Cabinet Supreme Court assaults, using mail, telephone, telegraph, the other instrument, interstate, foreign, commercial, threatening to kill, injure, intermediate, any individual, unlawful to damage, of destroying any building, vehicle, or other real personal property by means of fire explosive, damage, destroy means of fire explosive, building, vehicle, or other personal or real property possessed, owned, leased by the United States, any other agency thereof, the instituting, receiving the federal financing authority assistance, and conspiracy to the United States jurisdiction, damage to the destroyed property with a foreign country, belonging to the foreign country, or to any railroad, canal, bridge, airport, airfield, or public utility, public conveyance, public structure, any religious, educational, cultural property is so situated, destruction $5,000 or more in energy facility property is defined, willful trespass upon injury, destruction, and interference with the fortification, harbor defenses, defense of sea areas. And it says U.S. policy strategy on war and terror, Annex 2, consolidation, updating the presidential counterterrorism documents, January 10th, 2007, the National Security Presidential Directive, 46 Homeland Security Presidential Directive, and then it's established by the FBI relates war on terrorism. Alright, counterintelligence espionage investigation represented with the list of the federal statutes applicable to counterintelligence espionage investigations appear with for additional information refer to the counterintelligence program implementation guide counter list for the espionage counterintelligence authorities. Espionage investigation persons of the United States with a diplomatic mission abroad with the 603 with the Intelligence Act of 1990 with the subject of the authority of the Attorney General. The FBI shall supervise with the conduct of all investigation violation espionage law of the United States by the person employed with the assignment of the United States with a diplomatic mission abroad with all the departments agency for the provide with the assistance appropriate for the FBI conduct with the investigation consult with the Attorney General extraterritorial guidelines other applicable policy with the agreements. Investigation unauthorized disclosure of the classified information foreign power of the agent of foreign power the National Security Act of 1947 amendment with the establishment proceed with the coordinate with the counterintelligence activities part of the statute with the extraordinary circumstances provided with the president in writing with in case basis with the head of the executive branch department of the agency must ensure the FBI had advised immediately any of the information regardless of its origin would indicate the classified information as being or may have been disclosed in any authorized manner with the foreign power of the agent with a foreign power. Alright, criminal investigation. In addition to the statutes listed before, the Criminal Investigation Division Program Implementation Guide with the additional criminal jurisdiction information. Investigation aircraft policy with a relation violation. FBI shall investigate with the Title 49 U.S. State Code 46314. Title 49 U.S. State Code, violent crimes against foreign travelers. Attorney General with the directive of the FBI shall assist with the local authorities investigating with the prosecuting felony crime with a violation of law of any state in which the victim appears to have selected because he or she of the traveler foreign nation. Felons killings in state of local law enforcement office investigation serial killings. Authority of the FBI special agent for the FBI special agent have the authority to investigate violations of the law, including criminal drug law of the United States. Collect evidence of the United States within many part from the interest of is redelegated through the exercise of the authority contained in Title 28 CFR 0138 of the direct personnel of the FBI. Make arrest, service act, execute arrest warrants for the serve of the property for the under warrant issue and or serve the administrative subpoena, serve the subpoena issued by other proper property authority by civil investigation demands, carry firearms, administrative oath for the witness intending to testify the deposit of the courts for the investigating fraud, attempts in the United States, irregularities, misconduct of employees granted for the United States, seize property for the seizure of the criminal and civil forfeiture of law of the United States, perform other duties imposed by the law. 2.5. The Attorney General Guideline the Domestic Investigation Operation Guide that is set forth solely for the purpose of the Department of Justice. The FBI guidance that is not intended to do not and may not be relied upon with the criteria to create any right for the substance of the procedural enforcement by law, any party in matter of the civil or criminal, nor do they play the limitation otherwise law, investigation, litigation prerogative of the Department of Justice of the FBI. The departure of the Attorney General Guideline the departure of the Attorney General Guideline the Domestic Advance Operation. The departure of the Attorney General Guideline the Domestic must be approved with the Director of the FBI with the Department Deputy with the Director of the FBI with the Executive Assistant Director designated by the Director of the Director of the FBI has designated the Executive Assistant Director of the National Security Branch, the Executive Assistant Director of the Criminal Cyber Response Service Branch. To grant departure of the Attorney General Guideline with the Domestic notified that the departure must provide with the General Counsel. Emergency exemption of the Department of the Attorney General Guideline with the departure of the Attorney General Guideline with the Domestic with the necessary such prior approval because of the intermediacy with the gravity of the threat with the safety of the person, property with the national security of the Director, Deputy Director, and Executive Assistant Director of the General Counsel must be notified with the official with granting the emergency departure as soon as they are after practicable. FBI must provide with the timely written notice of the Attorney General Guideline with the Domestic Department of Justice Criminal Division or National Security Division as appropriate with the Criminal Division, National Security Division notify the Attorney General, Deputy Attorney General, notwithstanding with the paragraph, all activity circumstances must be carried out in a manner consistent with the constitutional law of the United States. Record of departure for the Attorney General Guideline, the Domestic with the Office of General with the Counsel is responsible for maintaining records of request approval, the denial of the departure for the Attorney General Guideline Domestic. Departure for the Domestic Investigation Operation Guide. Departure for the Domestic Operation Guide, advance for the operation, request for the departure for the provision of the Department of Domestic Investigation Operation Guide must be submitted with the appropriate with the substance of the program assistant director for the General Counsel approval prior to the Department of Investigation Operation Guide. The Assistant Director may designate the Deputy Assistant Director and the General Counsel designate with the Deputy General Counsel for the National Security Law Branch, Deputy General Counsel for the Investigating Law Branch to approve of the departure. Notwithstanding with the paragraph, all activities in all circumstances must be carried out in a manner consistent with the constitutional law of the United States. Emergency exemption for the Department of the Domestic Investigation Operation Guide. The departure necessary for the because of the intervenes the gravity of the threat, the safety of the person, property of the national security, proving that the authority may or his or her discretion authorize the emergency departure for the Domestic Investigation Operation Guide. This is practically thereby a special agent in the charge of the FBI headquarters of the section chief that may provide with written notice for the appropriate but the attorney assistant director general counsel to describe the circumstances necessity of the departure notwithstanding, but the paragraph all activities circumstances must be carried with a manner consistent with the constitutional law of the United States. Regular departure for the Domestic Investigation Operation Guide. The Office of the General Counsel will be responsible for maintaining records all required with approval of the denial of the departure for the Domestic Investigation Operation Guidelines. Alright, 2A. Other FBI activities not limited to the Attorney General guideline with the domestic. The Attorney General and guideline of the domestic comply with the FBI with the investigation activity provided herein that do not limit the other authorized activities of the FBI, such as for the FBI responsible for the conduct of the background check for the inquiry for the concerning applicant for the employee with the federal personnel security programs, background investigation, FBI manual for the operation of the Navy for the criminal records system, preparation for the national crime statistics for the forensic assistance and administrative function for the FBI laboratory. The FBI employee for the incidental with the obtaining information relating to the matters outside of the FBI, primarily investigating responsibility, for example, the information relating with the violation state with the local law with the foreign law may be incidentally obtained with the course of the investigation, federal criminal threats of the national security, collecting foreign intelligence with the Attorney General guideline. The domestic does not bar acquisition of such information from the courts for the authorized investigation activity, retention from such information, dissemination as appropriate with the responsible authority of the other jurisdictions. 2.9. The use of the classified investigative technologies and appropriate use of the classified investigation technologies may risk the compromise such for the technology, hence for the investigation relating with the activities of the violation of federal criminal law, but does not concern the threat of national security, foreign intelligence use as such. The technologies must conform with the procedure for the use classified investigating technology for the criminal case. Attorney General Guideline, the Domestic Part 5B2. Application Attorney General Guideline, Domestic Investigation Operation Guide applied to the FBI Domestic Investigation Operation conducted for the FBI employees, such as not limited to applicable support personnel with the intelligence agent for the special agent task force officers, detail FBI contractors, confidential human resources. All these of the FBI employees provided with the Attorney General Guideline, the Domestic Investigation Operation Guide, and the Domestic Operation Guide. Use of the FBI employee implies all use of the personal descriptions not otherwise prohibited by law or policy. For example, the Department Investigation Operation Guide states the FBI employee is responsible for the particular investigating activity. Supervisor has flexibility to assign responsibility to any person bound with the Attorney General Guideline, the Domestic Investigation Operation Guide, if not otherwise prohibited by law or policy. The FBI Headquarters Division Policy Implementation Guide cannot be less restrictive than the Domestic Investigation Operation Guide. Additionally, the FBI Headquarters Division Policy Implementation Guide must comply with the policy with the Domestic Investigation Operation Guide unless approved with the deviation of the Domestic Investigation Operation Guide is reviewed by the General Counsel approved by the FBI Deputy Director. Alright, 3. Use the core values and responsibilities.